Hi everybody, how are you? Thank you very much to Camilo Hurtado for the invitation and for presenting this video. My name is Laurent Avila Chauvet, and first of all, an apology for reason of personal nature. Today I can be there with you, but let's move forward, okay? Today I will talk a little about a topic that I personally love, and more promptly, I will talk about those factors that promote an organism exploits another organism. Together with Oscar Garcia Leal and Alejandro Segura, we decided to title the presentation Factors that Promote Strategy Change in Social Foraging Situations. Foraging refers to the search of resources, for example, food, refuge, or even partner. In natural context, organisms forage in habitat composed by patch zones, which contain the resources, and transition zones that physically separate the patch zones. In social foraging situations, it has been observed that multiple species, for example rats, pigeons, finches, fishes, and even spiders, tend to choose one of two possible strategies. The first, produce, which refers to the search or the release of the condition to access to the resources, and the second, scrunch, which refers to the join of an organism to the produced patch zones or to thief or the previously produced resources. For many years, behavioral ecologists have been interested in the variables that affect the proportion of producers and scroungers within a group. For example, different mathematical model and agent-based model have been designed to predict evolutionary stable strategies. Unlike the behavioral ecologists, we were more interested in evaluating what are the factors that promote the strategy change in particular subjects. For this reason, we set ourselves three main objectives. First, develop an experimental task that simulates social foraging situations in humans. Second, evaluate two of the most robust effects reported in the literature. One, as the size of the group increases, the proportion of producer decreases. And two, as the unit of food increases, the proportion of producer decreases. And third, evaluate that factors that promote the strategy change in particular subjects. The task. We design an experimental online task or online game. The task consists in a virtual habitat with 4 patch zones. Inside the habitat, the participants could control an agent using the arrow keys. In addition, in the habitat there were other virtual agents programmed according to Dubois' agent model. I will not focus on the details of the model, but in general, if the programmed agent obtained food as producer, they continue to be in producer, otherwise they change their strategy to scrunch. To produce a patch, the participants have to enter in the patch and press the spacebar for 2 seconds, this in order to simulate the search ghost. To scrunch, the participants have to enter in a previously produced patch and steal a prey. To evaluate two of the most robust effects reported in the literature, the group size and the food units, 20 undergraduate students were used. The average age was 20 years old. We used a group design where the group size and the food units were varied. Letter A refers to the number of agents and letter P refers to the food units. In figure 1, we can see the producer index of each group. The producer index was calculated from the following formula. RP refers to the frequency of producer responses, while RS refers to the frequency of scrounger responses. In this foraging situation, the humans behave similar to monkeys, spiders, rats, or even fishes. As the size of the group increases, the proportion of the producers increases. On the other hand, the effect of the food units was not very clear for the groups composed by 8 agents. Another interesting data was the spatial distribution of the participants in the habitat when they were producing or scrounging. As reported in bears and monkeys, when the organisms scrounge, they tend to stay longer time in the center of the habitat to reduce the cost associated with moving or with moving to scrounge. But as we mentioned previously, we are more interested in evaluate what are the factors that promote the strategy change. As first approximation, in figure 3, we plot the logarithm of the ratio between the frequency of food obtained as producer and as scroungers, against the logarithm of the ratio between the frequency of producer and scrounger response. Each of the points represent a particular participant. This is interesting because if the preference for a strategy was solely a function of the numbers of prey obtained, we were more expected to have a slope equal to 1. But we observed that in all of the groups the slope were less than 1, which could indicate that they are another factor that may be controlling the strategy change. For that reason, as a second approximation and with the objective of looking what are those factors that control the strategy change, we use the CART algorithm to generate decision trees from the data. In a general way, the CART algorithm reduces the entropy or the uncertainty about a possible outcome. Using this strategy, we can observe that the factors that most promote the strategy change are 1. The amount of food units obtained, as we see in the other analysis. 2. The strategy that was used at early time, strategy persistence. 3. The probability that others find food in patch zones. And 4. The Euclidean distance to the others. As a third approach, we zoom on the data and we perform a signal analysis. In general, using cross-correlation, in particular the lag between the signals, we infer the optimal time window to analyze the strategy change. In this case was 10 seconds. In the figure 4, on the x-axis, we have the time in tenths of seconds. And we have t seconds before and after the strategy change. While in the y-axis, we have the function of the different factors as a function of time. For example, in the black function, we can observe the price obtained by the participants. And also we can observe that when the participants change from produce to scrounge, the amount of prey obtained increases dramatically and then decay. While when they change from scrounge to produce, the amount of prey remains more constant. Now, in the green function, we can observe the Euclidean distance. When the participants are going to scrounge, they approach to the other agents, while when they produce, they move away from the other participants. The result is interesting, since moving away from the other agents, participants can avoid being stolen and increase their consumption or their intake of food units. Now in figure 5, we can see the same black function of the units of food taken, and we can see the green function, that is the probability that the others find food. In this figure, we can see that when the other agents find food, the participants change from scrounge to produce. This data could indicate us that the others can act as a signal that indicate the availability of the food. After seeing the general data and the zooming of the data, we can make some conclusions. The first, we think that the developed experimental task can act as a good tool to study social foraging situations in humans. Second, we see in the data that the strategy change can be explained by the units of food obtained. But we also find some factors that can explain why the value of the loops is less than 1. For example, the persistence, the probability that others find food, and the Euclidean distance from others. To confirm this, at the present we are working on experimental manipulation that we think that they will allow us to account of these factors. Well, that's all. Thank you very much. And again, I apologize for not being able to be there. For any question, I will leave my mail. This is a subject that I personally love, and I always open to collaborate or try new ideas. And thank you very much. This video, I think, will be available in YouTube, and you can search me as Laurent Avilas Chauvet. See you. Enjoy the Congress. Bye.